When I was a kid, I roamed an enchanted forest where I visited mighty castles, fought terrible dragons, marveled at majestic unicorns, discovered hidden jewels as well as artifacts of ancient battles, and rescued beautiful princesses, including a stunning redhead on more than one occasion. The forest was actually several square miles of woods behind my parents' house. A sturdy old beechnut tree makes for a fine castle. The dragons were the occasional snake I encountered, and quickly fled from. The unicorns were a pair of horses someone kept in a field bordering the woods. The jewels were pieces of quartz and garnet I found along the creek beds, and the battle artifacts were the very rare stone arrowheads I happened to cross. And the princesses? Well, they were just all in my imagination. Those woods are mostly gone now. When I visit my mom and look out the back windows, I see rows of nice, middle-class houses where I once performed my acts of gallantry. It's a strange feeling because those adventures were such a necessary and integral part of the fiber of my childhood, and I still feel that magical forest deep in the marrow of my bones. But without the visual evidence to verify that those exploits ever occurred, my days spent in those woods feel like nothing more than a near-forgotten dream, no more real than the fantasies I embellished around them.
During my sophomore year of high school, my brother Ethan was becoming increasingly interested in film and movies. Since our town had a poor selection of movies in the theater, we drove an hour up into the mountains to a nearby city, which had theaters that showed smaller releases. Most nights it was already dark by the time we got out of the theater. On some of these nights, it became foggy as the air cooled, making the visibility even worse on the way back down. Despite the hours I spent on the road coming back down from the mountains late at night with Ethan, all I can really remember is the hazy glow of streetlights through the fog as we came around highway curves and vague memories of our conversations about the movie we had just seen or ones that we planned to see next. Everything I remember about the trip back down is blurry and hard to describe, but I do remember the quality of the time that I spent with Ethan. It's something that's hard to appreciate at the time, but I now think that the trips were just as much about spending time with him as they were about the movie that we went to see. Although the setting on the way back down was always gloomy, it never felt unpleasant. I think that, much like a dream, my memories of the trips back down from the mountain have a disconnection between the mood and the setting. The contrast between how I felt and the surroundings seems almost nonsensical, like when waking up from sleep with a vague feeling and a memory of a seemingly unrelated setting.
When I was 12, I was a champion procrastinator, so not surprisingly, I was up late one night finishing homework. This was not unusual, but the feeling that overcame me was. I was queasy, fuzzy-headed, almost dizzy, but not quite. I'd never felt like that before. I checked the clock. I had to finish my homework. I always finished, but I was feeling worse by the minute. I checked the clock again. 1:22 a.m. Just a little more to do, but I felt so bad. I needed to lie down. I was going to have to finish my homework in the morning, maybe on the bus. I turned off my light and flopped down on the bed. I was asleep in a minute. And I dreamed, vivid and colorful. My granddaddy came to me. We were standing in an endless field of bright flowers. I was surprised to see him. He motioned to the flowers and said, "I made them bloom for you. Don't worry about me, I'm okay." In the dream I stayed silent, but in my head I was screaming, "You're not okay, you're not." Granddaddy said, "I'm with Olivia now. I'm okay, I'm happy." Olivia was his little sister who died in childhood. My middle name is Olivia, after her. Still silent, my head screamed, "She's dead. You can't be okay if you're with her. You're dead." "Don't worry," Granddaddy said again. "I love you, but I have to go." The next thing I remember was my mom's soft knock on the door. It was early, too early to get up for school. "Honey, I need to talk to you," she whispered. I sat up in bed and said, "I know." You know what? She asked. Granddaddy died last night. Yes, I'm so sorry. At 1:22 a.m. Yes, how did you know? Granddaddy was my special person. I know if there was any way for someone to communicate from the other side, he would have contacted me. I believed that was exactly what happened for years. But then I grew up, became a firm believer in all things science, and I married an intelligent, practical, science-minded man who always smirked a little when I told that story. But I still privately like to think that Granddaddy came to me and told me goodbye. We just needed one more tiny moment that was just ours. I was his special person too.